Have you ever stopped to think about why someone else's silence can have such a strong impact on you? Why a simple seen notification with no reply is capable of ruining your entire day? Today you're going to discover a truth that will completely transform the way you perceive being ignored. This isn't about manipulative tactics or psychological strategies. It goes much deeper than that. We're talking about an ancient, profound, and powerful wisdom, Stoic philosophy applied to our modern relationships. If you've ever found yourself checking your messages over and over, distressed because you're not getting any attention, or spent sleepless nights wondering why that person read your message but didn't reply, then this content has the potential to radically change the way you live. I'm going to show you how the wise masters of Stoicism would have faced this exact situation, and even more importantly, how you can use their teachings to become emotionally strong, able to endure any void, any silence without breaking down. What you're about to learn in the next few minutes will completely dismantle your ego, that fragile part of you that needs attention to feel worthy. And when that ego shatters into pieces, you'll uncover a truth hidden within the silence of others. Your real power has always been there, waiting to be awakened. Number 1. The forbidden secret. It's happened to all of us. That special person sees your message and doesn't reply. Hours go by and the silence remains. You start imagining 1,000 scenarios, checking your phone compulsively every few minutes. You try to find a reason, asking yourself what you did wrong. And the worst part is when you see them online, posting stories, commenting on other people's posts, interacting with the world, just not with you. Yes, it hurts. A lot. But there's a secret that can completely flip that situation. A truth that very few people know. Think about your last relationship or the person you're currently interested in. How many times did you become a prisoner of your phone waiting for a reply? How many nights did you sacrifice trying to figure out why that person saw your messages but never said anything? This behavior pattern is so common we've come to believe it's normal. But the ancient Stoic sages discovered a revolutionary truth. The more you show someone you need their attention, the less attractive you become. It's like that friend we all have. When they're single, they act desperate for affection, constantly sending messages, seeking any sign of love. And what happens? People pull away. But when that same person starts feeling good about themselves, when they focus on their life without seeking approval, suddenly everyone wants to know about them. It's not a coincidence, it's a natural law of human behavior, one that the Stoics understood more than 2,000 years ago. The forbidden secret is as simple as it is uncomfortable to accept. Your desperate need for attention is sabotaging your relationships. Every time you feel anxious about getting a reply, every time you write the perfect message hoping for a reaction, you're telling both the universe and that person that your worth depends on their validation. Think about it. Who do you truly admire? Aren't they the people who radiate calm confidence and emotional independence that makes them magnetic? It's not about beauty, money, or fame, and it's something that comes from within. An emotional stability that very few people manage to achieve. When that person you like takes a while to reply, when someone leaves you on read, you have two choices. Follow the old pattern of anxiety and dependency, or turn that moment into an opportunity for growth. Every seen message can become emotional training, a kind of gym for your character. And the first step is to accept an uncomfortable truth. No one is obligated to reply to you. Not your ex, not your crush, not the person you're getting to know. When you understand this from the depths of your being, something incredible happens. You set yourself free. Your happiness no longer depends on the next message being read or the next notification. This secret is forbidden because it challenges everything society has taught us. Social media, dating apps, everything is designed to keep us dependent on the validation of others. But you can choose a different path. You can be the kind of person who doesn't lose their balance when they're ignored, not because they don't care, but because they know their own worth. It's time to break the cycle. Instead of begging for attention, start building a life so attractive, others want to be part of it. And there you'll discover the real secret no one ever told you. When you stop needing other people's attention, that's when you start receiving it the most. Number 2. poison of the ego. We've all heard that the ego can become our worst enemy, but in the realm of relationships, it acts as a silent and lethal poison. When someone ignores you, it's not your heart that breaks first. It's your ego that feels wounded. That feeling of rejection, that knot in your chest, that anger you feel when you see the other person online and not replying. All of that comes from the ego. It's the one poisoning you, little by little. Think for a moment about the last time someone important left you unread. What was the first thing that went through your mind? How dare they ignore me? Who do they think they are? Don't I deserve a response? Then your ego starts making up stories, absurd theories, imaginary scenarios, and without realizing it, you become a social media spy looking for clues, for signs, trying to guess if they're talking to someone else or doing it on purpose. It becomes an addiction, an invisible trap. You begin to modify your behavior. You try harder to seem more interesting, post stories strategically to get their attention, calculate how long to wait before replying so you don't look desperate. The ego convinces you that you're in control, but in reality, you're completely trapped. The ego is a master at turning a simple situation into a dramatic soap opera. Maybe that person is just busy, having a bad day, or simply doesn't feel like talking at the moment. But your ego doesn't accept simple explanations. It needs a story where you're either the victim or the villain. And the more you feed those stories, the deeper the poison seeps in. The Stoics put it this way: it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but the interpretations we make of them. Being ignored by itself is a neutral fact. The pain, the anxiety, the obsession, the suffering, is a creation of your wounded ego. It's as if your ego were a telenovela screenwriter, turning a simple scene into a 3-season drama series. The most ironic part is that your ego, trying to protect you from pain, ends up causing even more harm. It pushes you to send passive-aggressive messages, to post subtle jabs, to act in ways that, deep down, you know don't reflect the best version of yourself. And after each of those actions comes the shame, the regret, and the poison spreads further. But there is an antidote, and it starts with something very simple: observation. The next time someone ignores you, don't react immediately. Pause. Watch how your ego reacts. Don't try to fight it, just observe it. It's like watching a movie from the outside. Notice the thoughts that show up, the emotions that rise, the stories that start forming. That simple act of observation reduces the ego's power. True power doesn't lie in eliminating the ego. That's impossible. The power lies in recognizing when it's acting and choosing not to follow its commands. It's like having an overdramatic friend. You listen, but you don't let them make your decisions. When someone leaves you unread, let your ego vent, but don't buy a ticket to its show. Over time, you'll notice something incredible. The less you react to the impulses of your ego, the more clarity you gain in your relationships. That desperation for a response fades. The anxiety of being ignored loses its grip. And you begin to connect from a place that's much more authentic, grounded, and calm. Number 3. Invincible mind. Have you ever noticed those people who seem immune to extreme emotions? Those individuals who, even when ignored, continue with their lives without drama, without breakdowns, without spiraling into anxiety. The secret is not that they don't feel, nor is it that they pretend not to care. The real secret is that they've developed a mind that doesn't break easily. A truly invincible mind, and you can build one too. Imagine a fortress. It's not built in a day. Brick by brick, stone by stone, it is formed through effort and consistency. Your invincible mind works the same way. Every time someone ignores you and you choose not to react out of desperation, you're placing a new brick in that mental structure. The first principle in building this internal fortress is accepting reality exactly as it is, without sugarcoating, without denial. When that person you like doesn't respond, the ordinary mind wants to force a result, change the situation, get an answer no matter what. But an invincible mind recognizes, in this moment, this person has chosen not to respond, and that's okay. Sounds simple, right? But it's absolutely transformational. Imagine yourself in the middle of a storm. The ordinary mind gets angry, panics, curses the rain. The invincible mind observes it and thinks this too shall pass. Being ignored works the same way. Instead of drowning in despair, you learn to observe your thoughts as if they were passing clouds. They appear and they fade away too. What's extraordinary about this mindset is that it doesn't depend on other people's behavior to remain at peace. When you receive a message with no reply, instead of making up 1,000 theories, you use that moment as an opportunity to strengthen your inner self. It's like turning poison into medicine. Every rejection, every scene with no response, is an exercise in emotional discipline. The Stoics had a powerful practice called premeditation of evils. They imagined the worst-case scenario and trained their minds to face it. Applied to relationships, it goes like this. What if that person never writes to me again? What if they completely ignore me? You know what happens? You survive, and you're still you. You keep your dignity. You are enough. This exercise isn't pessimistic. In reality, it's liberating. It gives you control, not over what the other person does, but over what you choose to feel, think, and do. Another trait of the invincible mind is that it knows how to distinguish between what is within its power and what is not. You can't force a response. You can't control how long someone takes to reply. But you can decide how you use that time while you wait, where you focus your energy, what you do with your thoughts. And here's something surprising. When you cultivate this inner strength, people start to perceive you differently. Not because you're using some secret tactic, but because your energy shifts. You're no longer that emotionally unstable person who crumbles at a simple seen notification. Now you are someone with presence, with firmness, with inner peace. Remember something very important. An invincible mind is not an insensitive mind. You will still feel sadness when you're ignored. You'll have moments of anxiety. You'll still wish for a reply. The difference is that those feelings no longer control you. It's like being the captain of a ship in the middle of a storm. You feel the waves, but you keep the wheel steady. And here comes the most powerful secret. The value of your mind isn't defined by the replies you receive, but by the strength you show when you don't receive them. The silence of the other becomes space for your own inner voice to rise. Instead of desperately searching outward, you connect with yourself. And in that space of apparent emptiness, your true strength is born. Invincibility doesn't mean you're never ignored. It means you remain whole, calm, and free, no matter what others do. Number 4. Revealing silence. No one likes to feel ignored, but what if I told you that someone else's silence could become one of your greatest teachers? That person who doesn't reply, that love that left you unread, that ex who disappeared without explanation. All of them might be teaching you something far more valuable than any words ever could. It's fascinating to observe how we react to silence. When someone doesn't respond, it's as if the world freezes. We panic, we check our phones nonstop, we create 1,000 stories in our minds, but have you ever stopped to reflect on what that silence is actually trying to show you? Silence acts like a mirror. It precisely reflects those inner parts of ourselves that most need attention. When someone leaves your message unanswered, a truth begins to surface. Why do you need that reply so badly? At what point did a simple lack of response begin to control your mood? That's the power of silence. It reveals our emotional dependencies, our deepest insecurities, our most hidden fears. There's an ancient piece of wisdom that says, silence is the loudest scream. When someone chooses not to respond to you, they're saying something. Maybe not what you want to hear, maybe it hurts. But there is always a hidden message there. Sometimes someone else's silence is an invitation to look at yourself, to turn your attention inward and ask yourself, what do I really need? Am I hoping someone else will fill a void that I should be learning to care for myself? The most interesting part is how different people react to the same kind of silence. Some freeze, others fall into depression, some explode with anger, but very few stop to listen to what the silence is trying to teach them. It's as if everyone wants to skip the most important class of the day, the class that has no words, yet contains profound lessons. When you start to view silence as a teacher instead of a punishment, something transformational happens. You stop fighting with it and start learning from it. Did that person not reply? Ask yourself, what emotions is this triggering in me? What repetitive patterns am I repeating? What fears are coming to the surface? And it's like having a therapist available 24 hours a day, free of charge. You just need to sit in silence and observe. Silence also reveals a lot about the other person. Sometimes someone who used to reply quickly begins to change their behavior. And instead of making excuses, observe. Actions always speak louder than words. If someone chooses to ignore you, that is information too. They're showing you how they handle relationships, what place they give you in their life, and how much they value your energy. There's a powerful practice you can start right now. The next time silence hurts, grab a pen and paper and write down everything you're feeling. No filters, no censorship, and let it all out, even if it sounds irrational, even if it hurts. You'll be surprised how much you can learn about yourself in those moments of apparent emptiness. Silence also reveals something else. Who is truly there for you? While you suffer over those who ignore you, how many people around you are offering genuine attention? How many real opportunities for connection are you missing because you're focused on the one who chose to stay silent? In the end, silence is the most honest teacher there is. It doesn't sugarcoat. It doesn't decorate. It doesn't lie. When you learn to listen to what silence wants to tell you, you develop a wisdom no message could ever teach you. And the most ironic part of it all is that once you understand this lesson, other people's responses stop mattering so much. Number 5. Emotional trap. Have you ever realized how, without noticing, we begin building our own emotional prison? Every unanswered message becomes a brick. Every ignored scene becomes a new lock. And without knowing how, one day you wake up trapped in a cell you built yourself. The most unsettling part is that the key has always been in your hands. But we keep playing the same game. You send a message, wait anxiously, see it's been read, and the torment begins. Was I too direct? Did I say something wrong? What if I pretend I sent it by mistake? And without realizing it, you find yourself caught in a spiral of thoughts that turn your day into a drama of anxiety. The most dangerous thing about this trap is that many times we don't even notice we're falling into it. It starts subtly. You adjust your schedule to match theirs. Carefully choose every word so you don't seem too eager or too distant. Post strategic stories hoping they'll react. View them, notice you. And before you know it, your world begins to revolve around someone who can't even spare a simple reply. It's like handing someone else the remote control of your emotional well-being. Every notification becomes a roller coaster. If it's from them, you're euphoric. If it's not, you crash. If they read and don't reply, you go into crisis. Your emotional stability starts depending on the actions of someone who's probably not even thinking about you in that moment. The trap gets even deeper when you start justifying the one who ignores you. They're probably really busy. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe they misunderstood what I said. We become experts at making excuses for someone who won't even spend 30 seconds giving us a response. And the longer we stay in that emotional prison, the more normal it seems. It's like the story of the frog in boiling water. The temperature rises slowly, and by the time it realizes, it's already been cooked by anxiety. We begin to think it's normal to spend hours spying on profiles. Normal to lose sleep over a message that wasn't answered. Normal to live off scraps of attention. But here's the most painful part. While you're trapped in that vicious cycle, life is still happening outside. Have you asked yourself how many real experiences you're missing out on because you're obsessed with someone who won't reply? How many valuable connections are you losing by constantly checking if that person is online? The good news is that every prison has an emergency exit, and the first step to freeing yourself is to admit that you're trapped. It seems obvious, but how many times have you said, "I don't care," while checking your phone for the 10th time in an hour? Honesty with yourself is the first act of liberation. Here's a simple yet incredibly powerful exercise. The next time you feel the urge to check if they've replied, pause for 30 seconds, close your eyes, breathe. Feel what's happening in your body. Notice how your mind tries to convince you that you need to know. In those 30 seconds, you'll clearly see the bars of your own emotional cell. And once you recognize them, they begin to lose power. The truth is this: no one can control you emotionally without your permission. Every time you choose not to punish yourself for someone's silence, every time you decide to continue with your life without depending on someone else's attention, you tear down another bar of that prison. And when you finally free yourself, you realize something amazing. The door was never locked. It was always just a matter of choosing to walk out. Number 6. Inner portal. Everyone talks about inner strength or looking within yourself, but rarely does anyone explain how to actually do that, especially when someone you care about chooses to ignore you. What very few people know is that within you there's a hidden portal, a sort of secret passage that leads to a strength you never even imagined you had. And the most ironic part is that right at the moment someone ignores you, when you feel that unbearable emotional void, is when you're closest to crossing it. Remember that heart-sinking moment when you realize you've been left on red? Your first instinct is to go running for external answers. Check social media, vent to friends, send more messages. But what if, instead of looking outward, you chose to turn your attention inward? Each scene with no response can become a silent invitation, a slightly open door to your true inner power. Think about it. When someone you care about ignores you, you feel an overwhelming emptiness. And we usually do everything we can to fill it, with distractions, with other connections, with anxiety, with repetitive thoughts. But that void we fear so much is actually the gateway to your transformation. It's the threshold of your personal discovery. It's precisely in that silence, in that deep solitude, where you can finally meet yourself. There's a powerful exercise you can try right now. The next time someone ignores you, instead of reacting automatically, pause. For 5 minutes, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Allow yourself to feel. Don't run from the pain or the anxiety or the fear. Let those emotions flow, because they are your guides on this inner journey. At first, it's scary. It's like diving into deep waters without knowing how to swim. But down there, in the depths, is where the real treasures lie. And the most surprising part, the more you go through that portal, the stronger you become. It's as if every moment of rejection becomes training for your soul. It hurts at first, yes, and it feels unbearable. But over time, you develop a strength so solid that no one can take it from you, because it comes from within. The ancient sages knew this well. Every difficulty, every obstacle is an opportunity to grow, and you can apply this principle too. The next time someone doesn't respond, instead of feeling like a victim, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this pain into power? That's emotional alchemy, turning suffering into strength, rejection into wisdom. Many people think that going through this inner portal means becoming numb, cold, or indifferent. But it's not like that. You'll still feel pain when you're ignored. You'll still have moments of sadness and doubt. The difference is that now you'll use that pain as fuel to grow. The secret is realizing that the portal has always been there. It just becomes visible in the darkest moments. It's like the stars. You can only truly see them when the sky is completely black. Every time someone leaves you hanging, the universe is offering you a unique opportunity to look inward, to discover lights you've gone your whole life without turning on. And something fascinating happens when you start visiting that inner space regularly. People notice, and not because you change outwardly, but because your energy transforms. You're no longer someone who gets easily shaken by an unanswered message. Now you're someone who's connected to a deep source of power and inner stability. At the end of the day, every time someone ignores you, life is handing you a one-of-a-kind invitation to self-discovery, as if the universe were whispering in your ear. Stop searching outside for what you can only find within. And when you finally cross through that portal, you realize something liberating. No external response can ever give you what already lives inside you. Number 7. Hidden wisdom. There are ancient teachings that have been passed down from generation to generation, and if applied, they can completely transform how you deal with rejection. This isn't about trendy self-help formulas or cheap psychological tricks. We're talking about ancestral wisdom, used by both kings and slaves, to become emotionally unbreakable. And the most amazing part is, this wisdom still works, even when someone leaves you on red on WhatsApp. Yes, as unbelievable as it sounds, more than 2,000 years ago, people already suffered because of rejection. Not through apps, of course, but the pain was the same. And you know what they discovered? That what causes us the most suffering is not the rejection itself, but how we react to it. It's like someone slaps you, and then you slap yourself 10 more times just to make sure it hurts twice as much. The wise people of ancient times knew they couldn't control others' behavior, but they had complete control over how they responded to that behavior. Think about it. When someone ignores you, you have two paths. You can spend hours suffering, checking profiles, imagining scenarios, and creating theories. Or you can use that moment to become stronger. The choice has always been in your hands. There's a fascinating story about a Roman emperor who was also a philosopher. Despite being one of the most powerful men in the world, he wrote in his journal every day reflecting on how to deal with indifference, how not to let rejection affect him. Do you know why he did it? Because he understood that even though he had power over entire empires, he couldn't force anyone to love him or reply to him. Hidden wisdom doesn't teach you to stop feeling. It teaches you to recognize your emotions but not be ruled by them. You can feel all the pain that being ignored brings, and still choose not to send that desperate message. You can feel all the anxiety in the world, and still choose not to check that person's profile one more time. One of the most valuable teachings of this wisdom is, treat every present moment as if it were your most demanding teacher. When someone doesn't reply to you, instead of running from that discomfort, observe it, feel it, study it. Become the scientist of your own emotions. What exactly are you feeling? Where do you feel it in your body? What thought is behind that emotion? Here's a practical exercise you can start today. Every time someone ignores you, grab a notebook and write down everything you're feeling. Don't judge yourself and let it all out. Anger, sadness, fear, insecurity. Let it flow. And then, reread it as if you were reading the confessions of a close friend. You'll discover patterns you didn't even know you had. The most powerful thing about this wisdom is that it teaches you to see rejection, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to strengthen your confidence. Every time someone doesn't respond to you, it's like you're in the emotional gym, training your self-worth. Over time, being ignored stops feeling like a mortal wound and turns into just another growth lesson. The ancient masters also taught a truth that may sound ironic, but you'll see it for yourself. The less you need others' approval, the more naturally it starts to come to you. When you stop begging for responses, when you no longer care whether that person replies or not, that's when they start seeking you, valuing you more. And not because you're using some manipulation tactic, but because your energy has completely shifted. The deepest teaching of this wisdom is simple yet powerful. Every person who ignores you, without knowing it, is giving you a gift. An opportunity to discover that your inner peace doesn't depend on any message, nor on any external reaction. And when you truly understand that, you become free. Not because people stopped ignoring you, but because you stopped giving them power over you. Number 8. The illusion of pain. Have you ever noticed that most of the time we suffer more from what we imagine than from what actually happens? When someone ignores you, the event itself is simple. That person didn't reply to your message and that's it. But our mind becomes a dramatic soap opera screenwriter, and it takes that simple scene and turns it into a tragic story filled with suspicion, rejection, and betrayal. Let's do a quick exercise. Think of the last time someone important left you on red. Now make a mental list of all the theories your mind created. They're probably with someone else. I'm not interesting enough. I must have said something that upset them. Everyone must be laughing at me. See what I mean? Your mind created a whole movie out of nothing. The person might be at work, stuck in traffic, with a dead phone battery, or simply having a rough day. But our mind can't stand not having answers, so it prefers to assume the worst. The most common illusion is believing we know exactly what the other person is thinking. They're ignoring me on purpose, you know? They're trying to punish me. They want to make me feel small. But the truth is we have no idea what's going on in someone else's mind. Most of the time, people are so caught up in their own problems that they don't even have time to plan how to hurt you. There's a very common mental trap. The more meaning we assign to someone's silence, the more power we give them to hurt us. It's like every story we invent becomes another brick. That separates us from reality. They didn't reply because they don't love me anymore. They're ignoring me because they found someone better. They must be tired of me. Each of these thoughts is a construct, an illusion we choose to believe. And the craziest part is that many times the pain we feel has nothing to do with what's happening right now. It's about old wounds that silence has reawakened, the rejection from childhood, the abandonment from a past relationship, that friend who drifted away without a word. Our mind uses today's scene to trigger all those unresolved hurts. It's like every unanswered message presses the red button of our insecurities. But there's a powerful antidote to this illusion: the raw truth. Reality just as it is. The next time someone ignores you, force yourself to stick only to the facts. It's 3:27 p.m. I sent a message. The person read it. They didn't reply. That's it. No theories, no interpretations, just facts. And it's amazing how, when you strip the situation of all that mental drama, the anxiety starts to fade. A helpful technique is to write down all the thoughts that come to your mind, and then examine them as if you were a neutral judge. They're ignoring me because they met someone better. Do you have any real proof of that? Everyone is laughing at me. How can you be so sure? When you bring your thoughts into the light of reason, many fall apart on their own. And here's a truth that can set you free. 90% of your suffering doesn't come from what's happening. It comes from the stories you tell yourself. An unanswered message is just that, an unanswered message. Everything else, the pain, the anxiety, the drama, is a script you decided to write and star in. And the best part is this: if you wrote it, you can also choose to change it. Number 9. The power of emptiness. There is a silent, deep, and transformative force that very few people know about. The power that emerges when someone ignores you. Yes, I know, it sounds contradictory. When you feel the emptiness left by a lack of response, the last thing you sense is power. What you feel is lack, abandonment, confusion. But it is precisely in that emptiness where everything seems lost that one of the most powerful sources of inner strength is hidden. Let's think of a simple, everyday scene. You send a message to someone who matters to you. You see they read it and don't reply. Your first instinct is to panic, fill yourself with questions, and try to fill the void. And right there, in that moment, appears the great challenge. What if, instead of desperately trying to fill that emptiness, you dared to stay in it? It's like the old dilemma of the half-empty glass. The emptiness itself isn't the problem. The problem is what you decide to do with that space. The secret no one tells you is that emptiness holds immense power for transformation. It's a blank canvas, and you decide what you're going to paint on it. When someone ignores you, instead of letting that silence fill with anxiety, with doubt, with made-up stories, you can use that very space for something radically different, to reconnect with yourself. The time you are going to spend checking their socials, reading into their behavior, can become time for you, to write, to learn, to meditate, to heal. There's a technique you can begin practicing today: immersion into the void. Yes, it sounds intense, but it's a powerful experience. The next time someone doesn't respond to you, and instead of rushing toward distractions, stay with yourself. Breathe. Observe what you're feeling. Notice how your body reacts. Watch how your mind tries to escape. At first, it's scary. It's like swimming in deep waters for the first time. But like anything in life, after a few minutes, you realize you can float. What's most interesting is that the more you allow yourself to stay in that emptiness, the less power it has over you. And what once was a tormenting silence becomes a space where you discover yourself. Think about it. Who is usually the most sought-after person? The one who isn't desperate for attention. The one who's okay being alone, who feels whole in their own company. When you learn to feel comfortable in someone else's silence, you develop a presence that naturally draws others in. Here's a revolutionary exercise: The next time someone leaves you hanging, don't look for distractions. Do something that nourishes you. Read, walk, exercise, learn something new. That same emptiness that once destroyed you can now become the engine of your evolution. And then a fascinating realization happens. You discover that you never actually needed that person's reply. What you needed was to learn how to feel complete, even in their absence. It's like realizing you've always had wings, but you were too focused on borrowing ladders. And emptiness has another incredible power. It sharpens your emotional radar. When you're no longer constantly filling every silence with anxiety, you begin to see people more clearly for who they really are, not who you want them to be. That crush who always leaves you on red, maybe they're not confused, maybe they're showing you exactly who they are. And the magic happens when you understand that emptiness is not your enemy. It's a teacher, an honest one, direct, uncomfortable, but wise. Every time someone doesn't reply, you have two choices. You can panic and rush to fill that space, or you can use it to expand yourself. It's as if every scene with no reply were an invitation to grow. Because true power doesn't lie in never being ignored, but in having learned to transform every silence into a source of strength, clarity, and autonomy. When you master the art of inhabiting the void, you become invincible. Not because others stop ignoring you, but because you've learned how to turn their absence into presence, their silence into wisdom, and their indifference into personal power. Number 10. The dark truth. There's a truth that very few dare to face, the truth that hurts, but can set you free forever. When someone constantly ignores you, that they're showing you, without saying a single word, the real place you hold in their life. It's not a pretty truth, and it's not comfortable, but it's precisely in the darkness of this reality where the key to your emotional freedom lies. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you made excuses for the person who ignores you? They must be really busy. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe they didn't see the message clearly. But here's the raw truth. When someone truly cares about you, they find a way to show it. Even if it's just a 10-second message saying, "I can't talk right now, but I'll reply later." The most painful part is accepting that we often spend hours thinking about someone who at best gives us 30 seconds of their time or none at all. And you know what's even harder? That some people prefer to keep you close with the bare minimum of attention, just to keep you as an option. They don't reply properly, but they don't cut you off either. They show no interest, but they don't let you go. Why? Because it's convenient at having someone always available, ready whenever they feel like it. And here's a harsh but necessary truth. Never make someone a priority if they only keep you as an option. And no, it's not always out of malice. Sometimes the other person isn't even aware they're doing it. But that doesn't change the result. You're left stuck in emotional limbo, waiting for crumbs from someone who's serving full-course meals to others. The darkest part of this truth is that in many cases, the more someone ignores you, the more you crave their attention. As if you're hooked, like an addiction. The more they hurt you, the more you need them. Why? Because deep down you believe that if you can finally get that person to value you, it will mean that you're worthy. Spoiler, it won't. Here's a difficult but transformative exercise. Grab a pen and paper. Make a list of every time that person has ignored you over the past few months. Write down the dates, the situations, how long you waited, how you felt. Now, read that list as if it were the story of a dear friend. What advice would you give them? Sometimes it takes stepping back to see what's really happening. And here comes the most powerful truth of all. Most of the time, it's not about you. That person probably treats everyone the same way. It's their pattern. It's how they relate to others. But what is entirely up to you is your decision to keep tolerating that kind of treatment. That is your responsibility, 100%. The freeing part is that once you finally accept things as they are, without excuses, without illusions, you take back your power, and it's like taking off a blindfold. At first it stings, but then you can't believe how long you were living in the dark. Because in the end, this dark truth isn't about the person ignoring you. It's about you, about your ability to face reality, and do something about it. Only when you stop lying to yourself, when you let go of fantasies, when you embrace what is, can you begin to write a new story. One where you stop begging for attention and start giving yourself the worth you truly deserve. Number 11, the Stoic Code. Can you imagine if there were a secret manual? An ancient code that could teach you how to deal with the pain of being ignored without losing your calm, without destroying your self-esteem, and without collapsing your inner world? Well, it exists, and it's not new. It's over 2,000 years old and still just as powerful as the day it was born. It's the Code of the Stoics. Today you're going to discover how to apply its principles, even in this age of WhatsApp, social media, and unanswered messages. The first rule of this code is deeply transformative. Separate what's within your control from what's not. You can't control whether that person will reply. You can't control how long they'll take or what words they'll use. But you can control one thing, your reaction to it. And believe me, that is a superpower. Instead of being an emotional puppet that reacts to every scene, you can focus your energy on what's truly within your domain. There's a Stoic principle that feels tailor-made for modern times. It's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. Someone left you unread? The fact is neutral. They read your message and didn't respond. All the suffering, all the stories, all the judgments come from the narrative you build around that act. You're the director of your mental movie. You can shoot a heartbreaking drama, or rewrite the script and film a story of strength and growth. Another golden rule of the Stoic Code: never place your inner peace in someone else's hands. It sounds logical, but how many times have we let our emotional well-being depend on whether someone messages us or not? How many days have we ruined because a reply never came? To the Stoics, that's like handing the keys to your peace to someone who won't even open the door for you. There's another powerful lesson. Stop expecting people to behave differently than they always have. If someone has ignored you multiple times, why are you surprised when they do it again? It's like planting a cactus and expecting roses to bloom. They've already shown you who they are. Believe them. And now here comes a simple but revolutionary Stoic practice. Before sending a message, ask yourself, am I prepared for any kind of response? Even no response at all? If the answer is no, then first work on your detachment. Don't send anything until you're emotionally grounded. This exercise works like an emotional firewall. It protects you from expectations that later turn into disappointments. Another pillar of the Stoic Code is personal dignity. To them, every human being has a value that does not depend on others' opinions. That value is internal, sacred, and unchangeable. When you integrate this truth into your life, being ignored stops feeling like an attack on your worth, and it begins to look like what it truly is, an external circumstance, like rain or wind. And here's a final technique the Stoics practiced daily: negative visualization. They imagined the worst-case scenario and prepared to accept it with serenity. Apply this to the modern world. Before texting someone who matters to you, and accept it mentally. They might not reply, and I'll be okay with that. It's not pessimism. It's emotional preparation, like having an airbag when life slams the brakes. But the most revolutionary part of the Stoic Code is how it transforms suffering. It doesn't avoid it, it doesn't ignore it. It turns it into training. Every time someone leaves you unread, you have the opportunity to practice detachment, to reinforce your emotional independence, and to remind yourself that you need nothing external to be at peace. Because your real strength doesn't lie in getting answers. It lies in proving that you're whole without them. And when you embody this philosophy, when you truly live it, being ignored no longer destroys you. It becomes just one more exercise on your path to emotional mastery. Number 12. Inner teacher. Inside you, there's a voice. A wise, silent, and powerful presence that knows all the answers you keep desperately searching for outside. It's your inner teacher. The problem is that we live surrounded by so much noise, so many notifications, so much urgency to get external validation, that we forget to listen to it. Today, you'll learn how to awaken it, how to connect with it, because that wise voice, yours, already knows exactly what to do when someone ignores you. Let's take an example. You send a message to that special person and get no reply. Your first impulse is to look outward. You ask your friends, search for signs on social media, post indirect messages in your stories. But what if the best answer was already inside you, just waiting for you to be quiet enough to hear it? Your inner teacher doesn't need to shout. It doesn't impose itself. It's there, deep within, waiting for you to ask with sincerity. Next time someone leaves you on read before doing anything, pause, breathe, and ask yourself these 3 key questions. Why does this affect me so much? What is this silence trying to show me? What do I truly need in this moment? The answers may surprise you, because your inner teacher never lies. While your anxious mind invents 1,000 theories to justify someone else's silence, your inner wisdom already knows the truth. It's that soft voice you sometimes ignore, that gut feeling that whispers, "You deserve better." This isn't about you. You don't need to beg for love. The secret lies in learning to trust that voice more, and the excuses you create to avoid facing reality less. Ancient sages practiced a transformative technique, inner dialogue. It's about having an honest conversation with yourself. Write down on paper everything you feel when you're ignored. No filters, no self-judgment. Then, on the other side of the page, let your inner teacher respond. With compassion, with clarity, with firmness. It's powerful to realize that most of the time you already know what you need to do. You were just waiting for someone else to validate it for you. Your inner teacher also remembers something you often forget. Your worth doesn't depend on anyone's reply. Yes, that person didn't respond, but that says more about them than it does about you. Your inner wisdom knows that every rejection, no matter how painful it seems, is actually protection. A sign, a guide. One of the deepest lessons it can teach you is about time. Many times that silence isn't a punishment. It's the universe preventing you from investing your energy in the wrong place. It's like when you look back and feel grateful, a certain relationship didn't work out. Your inner teacher already knew. That's why it's so important to develop the habit of connecting with it. You can do it through writing, meditation, silent walks, or simply by turning off the outside noise for a while. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And when that happens, something beautiful occurs. Your inner teacher becomes your best ally, the one that tells you when you're lowering your standards, when you're ignoring the signs, when you're chasing crumbs of affection instead of giving yourself what you truly deserve. Awakening your inner teacher doesn't mean you'll never be ignored again. It means you'll have a compass so steady within you that other people's silence will no longer destabilize you. And when you learn to trust that wisdom, being ignored stops feeling like a punishment and becomes a new opportunity to strengthen your connection with yourself. Number 13. Final transmutation. We've arrived at the most powerful moment of this journey. The ultimate transformation. The point of no return, where you are no longer the person you once were. When you truly understand everything you've learned up to this point, something magical happens. That seen message that once shattered you now becomes your purest source of power. The silence that used to torment you transforms into your wisest teacher. The rejection that once made you feel small becomes the fuel that drives your evolution. This is transmutation, the art of turning poison into medicine, weakness into strength, absence into presence, pain into wisdom. It's not about never being ignored again. It's about reaching a place where, if it happens, it no longer matters. Because you've become so grounded within yourself that nothing external has the power to break you. Like the phoenix rising from its own ashes, you too can emerge stronger after every silence, more aware after every wound, more powerful after every unanswered message. Because now you know something you didn't before. The power was always within you, and the time has come to use it. If you've made it this far, if you've absorbed each idea, each reflection, it means you're no longer the same person who started this journey. It means something inside you has changed, that something deep within you has awakened. So if you feel called to, write the word ego in the comments. That way I'll know you're one of the brave ones who made it to the end, one of the few who dared to look inward and didn't run away. I hope you're now fully aware of the strength you carry within. Guard it, protect it, and use it to build a life where no one has the power to make you feel less than. A life where you are your own source of love and of validation and of power. Thank you for being here. See you soon.